Good morning, and welcome to the Lantern Daily Practice. I'm KT, and I'll be your host. This is episode 2, so this is the official kind of a kickoff. I'm establishing a template, and away we go. So I am 2 years into a journey for more inner peace, better understanding of who I am and what my purpose is. And I am inspired to record my experiences in an effort to help you with yours, give you an understanding of maybe what some of this stuff is like, some of the challenges that I'm facing. Everybody's experience is going to be different. However, there may be some benefit to glean from some of the things that I'm suggesting. And certainly, a daily practice is one of them. That's paramount, I believe. As soon as I established daily practice, things started anchoring in me. I had more of a calmness. And so the lantern is intended to represent, if you're in the dark, you get a lantern, you see really well the next couple of steps. You don't have illumination beyond that. You don't really know what is beyond those couple of steps, but sure enough, you take those couple of steps and next thing you know. And reminiscent of that saying where the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, kind of reminiscent of that. And that is also really a nice metaphor for what I've been experiencing these past 2 years, is if I am inspired to take action on my next few steps, and I do that, then things kind of fall into place and I don't have to worry as much about the future. And during this series, we'll talk a little bit about why we shouldn't be doing that anyway, and that really where our power is in this moment right now. And I want to just let you folks know that prior to this journey, I was having increasing levels of anxiety, really with no areas of concern in my life. I was becoming more and more plagued by insomnia, and so sleep was beginning to get impacted. And it prompted me to take a good hard look and begin taking action. And I walked away from a 9-year relationship and a home that we had built, and bought a camper van and hit the road and have been adventuring. And now I am in the midst of finding my next home, and I believe that I found it. So a lot of things have happened in these past 2 years that I kind of want to represent, but really the long and short of it is 5 steps to a daily practice. Wake up with gratitude. Find gratitude every day. Focus on that. Meditation, that's the nut to crack. Journaling, really good insight into self. It gets things cooking. It's the secret sauce to get things cooking. Move around outside, take care of your body, get outside, appreciate nature. There's a lot of benefits to being outside in nature, a ton of them. And then last but not least, self-care. And this series is really going to be, I think, a journey of self-care. It has taken me a while to lock in on the value of that. And so daily practice combined with self-care, I think you can really find quite a bit of peace. And certainly more understanding of who you are. And maybe even a little peek and some insight into what your purpose is and some things that maybe you are intended to accomplish while you're here. And so I'm going to talk about those 5 things in a little bit more detail. But if 3 minutes and 48 seconds is about enough, then do these 5 things. And I wish you a wonderful day and keep coming back. And if you want to stick around for a little bit more, I'm going to talk about how I apply these 5 things, kind of the things that are going on in my experience right now that really help me anchor with these 5 things. So stick around if you'd like a little bit more. And so the first is gratitude. So I don't want to throw that down yet. The first is gratitude. Morgan Freeman, Evan Almighty is a movie, and Morgan Freeman and Lauren Graham are in a scene together, and the gist of it is this. So Morgan Freeman plays God in the movie, and he says to Lauren Graham, if you pray for patience, do you think that all of a sudden you're just given patience? You wake up the next morning, you have it, or do you think that you're given opportunities to practice patience? If you're looking for family unity, do you think that you're just all of a sudden as a family going to unite? Or do you think that you're going to be given opportunities and experiences to come together and unite as a family? And that really hit. Like, you got to practice, right? So this daily practice. And so what I'm practicing right now is I am in limbo. I have decided that I'm moving from New Mexico to Northern California. Today's date is August 29th, 2024. And I have movers coming on September 28th. They're going to load it up and drive it up to Northern California. And I don't yet know what address they're going to be putting my stuff in. I don't have a home yet. And I have 30 years of experience with UPS. I recently retired from UPS after 30 years. And so that alone should tell you that I'm a planner. Very organized. I have, milestones and a project plan and a cadence and a timeline and all that stuff. Not when you're on the universe's timeline. You don't have any of that. And so what I'm doing now is really practicing trust. It is very unsettling to me that I don't have a home. But what I am grateful for is the opportunity to practice, because as I continue to take steps, little things happen that help appease and alleviate a bit of that concern. And the concern is really just around expectations. If I would just work on my vibe, focus on my next few steps, and trust that I will have what I need when it comes to security and housing. And so I'm being given an opportunity to practice trust. And I'm grateful for that. I'm really grateful for that. Ooh, tough stuff. I heard tough stuff. It is tough stuff for me. It's not knowing where I'm going to live in less than 30 days. I mean, but historically, so as you unravel that and you peel that back, as I sit in that and say, what evidence do I have in my past that warrants such concern? I can't think of anything. So we're just that's what I'm talking about. All right. So that is what I'm grateful for, is that I get to kind of play in this space and grow and expand and learn and try. And all the while, things are moving along in my highest good. Second is meditation. So I've got a couple of quotes here. Meditation is tricky. We've got very active minds, and it's hard to quiet them down. And in order to meditate, you've got to come up with a way to quiet your mind. And here are a couple of quotes that I thought from a science side would help kind of reinforce the importance of, this is where the magic is. The regular practice of meditation can change the physical structure of the brain and create positive changes in mood and behavior. The regular practice of meditation can change the physical structure of the brain and create positive changes in mood and behavior. Dr. Eileen Luders, professor of neurology at UCLA. That's a credible source. Here's another credible source from a different perspective. Through the practice of meditation, we can cultivate a sense of inner peace and well-being that is independent of external circumstances. Wouldn't that be nice? A refuge, a sanctuary, an inner sanctuary that you could cultivate. Through the practice of meditation, we can cultivate a sense of inner peace and well-being that is independent of external circumstances. And that is Dr. Richard Davidson. He's a professor of psychology and psychiatry at the University of Wisconsin, Madison. Breath work. I think it starts with breath work on meditation. You've got to count your breath. You've got to really focus on, like further down, I'm not there yet, I'm still counting breath, but further on you can start to, pay attention to the sensation of the breath coming in your nostril. You can pay attention to the sensation of the breath, imagine it going throughout your body. I haven't gotten that good yet. I'm still really kind of, hard scrabble meditating, and it's counting the breath. And box breathing is a really good way to do that. And so I encourage you to, consider doing a little bit more research, maybe picking up some additional reference on meditation and how to do it, because it will kind of fall into place on its own. I used the Calm app for guided meditations for most. So I recommend that. Journaling, there's interesting content starting to come into my Instagram feed around journaling, and it's folks that have been journaling for years, decades, and questions to ask yourself, how to get started, the benefits of journaling. So again, I encourage you to embark on your own journey with journaling and finding what resonates for you, because it was the first time to unlock really that inner wisdom for me. I was journaling and all of a sudden I felt the pen moving And I was almost like taking dictation. And when I read it back, it was a really nice message that was very telling. And so that was like, let's keep journaling. Plus it feels better. You know, it's writing a letter you don't intend to send. It moves the energy. It gets things shifting. It opens your eyes. Your perspective shifts. Journaling is very important. And so within my journaling, I've been working a lot on the development of this channel. That's really been a lot of my inspiration. In fact, in that, I talked a little bit about, at the beginning, the opportunity to practice my trust. One of the messages that came through when I was journaling is do that which requires doing. Meaning the few steps in front of you, quit worrying about where you're going to live. Everything's going to work out. Take the next few steps, do that which requires doing. And so that came through journaling. And so I've really been focusing a lot on the creativity that's coming up around this channel. And really what this series is intended for and what my intentions are for this series. And it's really to help. There will be no fee for any of this content. It's really to help, to encourage you, at least to have a companion as you're going through maybe some parallels. And then move around outside. This is Wagon Creek. And my rental is right up, it's a real neat little staircase right up the side of the hill. And I'm checking out today, alas. But not alas, because I'm going to go camping on the mountain. And it is Labor Day weekend, so it'll be fun. I think there will be a lot of activity in the campground. So I'm going to go out and find myself a nice little spot and try and settle in while I look for housing. One thing I like to do daily is ground by putting your bare feet on the earth. Not on turf, not on man-made substances, concrete. Try and get some grass, try and get some dirt, and stand in it for 5 to 10 minutes a day. And do a little bit of research on how good that is for you and why. I always like to know the why. And then on our self-care journey, so yesterday, or in our kickoff, I asked you to write down someone you admire. Think about somebody you admire. Write down why you admire them and what are their characteristics. Okay? So we're going to put a pin in that. We're going to come back to that later. What I'm hoping that stirred in you was the other thing that I asked is when you write these things down, pay attention to some of the things that might be coming up in your mind and some of the ways you might be feeling. And I suspect that there was some judgment, comparison, criticism. There was a little bit of self-stuff, like didn't feel real good to be writing those things down and maybe hear some of the things that were going on in the back of your mind. Well, you can control that. And so self-talk, I think, is paramount to where we begin our journey with self-care, self-love, self-compassion, self-forgiveness, self-acceptance. That's a lot to do on a journey. But do that which requires doing. And so I encourage you to start to pay attention to what you hear in your head. And especially when you do something silly, you say something silly, you trip, you drop something, you forget something, you do something that's silly, out of character, whatever. That, what goes on in your head? Dingbat, dumbass, whatever it is, right? And then play that back to yourself. What did I just hear? Will you please say that again? And feel it kind of look for the shadows, right? Like it doesn't want to be called out. It doesn't want to be recognized, right? Like gremlins. Then think about doing something risky. Like, what if I moved to Chicago? Pew, 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 all the reasons why you shouldn't pay attention to that. And you've got to kind of believe it a little bit. I mean, I'm having a little bit of fun, but you've got to kind of believe it. But put yourself in some scenarios where you're activating some deeper stuff on how you communicate with yourself. What drives your decisions? There's a book by a guy called Jedediah Johnson called Shaking the Sleeping Self. And in it, he says something along the lines of, he takes a bike ride from Oregon to southern Patagonia, southern tip of South America. And during these long bike rides, obviously, it's like meditation, right? It's a lot of contemplation. And he says that he started to realize that there were things pulling strings outside of his purview in the inner workings of his mind. And I thought that was pulling strings outside of his purview, influencing decisions. And you don't really start to uncover it until you start to challenge it a little bit. And then think about doing something where it's going to require some courage. Like, I want to go skydiving or some kind of, and see what starts to, you're too old to go skydiving. Do you really think skydiving is a good idea? And start to understand your relationship with yourself, especially when it's starting to get a little stressful. How you talk to yourself is really, really important because, again, we're trying to cultivate a relationship with ourselves where we're going to treat ourselves as our best friend. That's the journey of self-care that we're on. We're going to forgive ourselves of everything. We're going to accept ourselves of everything. We are going to really go out of our way to take care of ourselves. And it's how we talk to ourselves. And all we have to do is say, who said that? What was that? Say that again. Why did we think that? Why of all the words did we say that? And you'll start to kind of be inspired on how to work with that. Say, I don't want to talk to myself like that anymore. We're going to say positive things from now on. So I release you, or however you want to do it, and move through that. Okay. So we're going to keep on keeping on until I'm inspired to stop. So come back for more content. This is episode 2. And it's not easy, but it's worth it. My life isn't easier, but it's better. I'm sleeping better than I've ever slept. I feel better about myself than I think I've ever felt. And I'm really enjoying life in spite of the challenges, and there will always be challenges. So finding that inner sanctuary to anchor yourself during the storms of life through these daily practices, through this daily practice, through these activities, I think is going to be very beneficial. So come back for more.